Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting day in mathematics. Whoop, whoop. How's everybody doing? Good? All right, warm-up number 20 is on the screen. Let's get started, please. So last week we didn't have a pop party. Library is not available today because they're taking makeup pictures today. So if you haven't gotten your textbook, make sure you get it on Monday. Anyways, we're not having a pop party today. How about them apples? Is that good? We are going to cover a session, though, so let's stay focused. Warm-up number 20. Copy and go. All right. Should be just about done by now. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go over the process of this one since you guys are experts at it by now. So I do need a mean, and I need a sigma or a standard deviation, okay? So share with me what you got for the mean and standard deviation. Then I'll get, let's see, we'll get Jake to get us started. Check with the neighbor, mean and standard deviation, what they get. Jake says 7 for the mean. Hans, have you got 7? That is correct. Now we need a standard deviation. Pass them on, Jake. Did you say, can you pass it? 3 point what? 3.28. Hands, have you got that? Looks about right. So if we go one standard deviation up, that's 10.28. One standard deviation down, that's 3.72. So the norm is from where? 3.72 all the way to what? 10.28. So look at these data. Look up. Tell your neighbor what you notice in regards to the norm. What do you notice in regards to the norm? What would be an observation? Tell your neighbor. What is an observation that you notice? Yeah, we're not talking about measure central tendency. I'm talking about an observation or conclusion for that data. Aries, pass them on. Conclusion. This data compared to the norm. All right, Luis, what you think? All right, so like that's 2 people in a row. Look up to the screen. Here it goes one more time. When I'm talking about the norm, that means anything that falls here between what? 3.72 and 10.78. So what observation are we making? Well, are all of them part of the norm? Let's see. 5. 5, yes. 5. 10, yes. 4, yes. 7, yes. 9, yes. 12, no. 2, no. So what can we conclude? What would be a statement? 2 and 12 are not in the norm. Ah, my goodness. All right, copy the agenda, please. Warm-up number 20, statistics and probability. Tonight's home play, or should I say the home play here in class that you're going to finish, page 10, numbers 1 through 16, evens only. Now, those of you that were absent yesterday that we went to get our textbooks, make sure you get them on Monday because today they're using the library for makeups for the pictures. So they're pulling people in for makeups. In regards to textbooks, make sure you leave them home. They're only $189 in case you lose it at the end of the year. So only $189. Man, that's a lot of numbers, right? Get it? Because it's a statistics book. A lot of numbers. Thank you, thank you. All right, copy the call to act as a home play in case you don't finish. RVSWC, 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 just in case you don't finish in class. Last night's home play was this one. Go to canvas, turn that in, please. That's last night. It should be a assignment that says 1.1, numbers 1 through 17. Tonight's home play looks like this. Well, evens only. And once again, you will be able to finish here in class. So let's stay focused, though. Now, in case your code doesn't work, Nearpod code, tell your neighbor where to go to get the home play. Yeah, YouTube or your textbook. Yeah, this is from the textbook. Bless you. Page 10, numbers 1 through 16 evens. All right, get a Cornell note ready, please. I'll give you guys some time. All right, here we go. Our objective for today, I can classify qualitative and quantitative statistics. I can classify quantitative and qualitative statistics. I can classify qualitative and quantitative statistics. Now, by now, if we were to get a new student to come into this course and they ask you the question, what's statistics? Tell your neighbor some key words that come to mind when you think of statistics without looking at your note. Key words. All right, looks like Kayla's got it. Very good, Kayla. I see you. Trent got it. Very good, Trent. Of course, Adam's got it. Very good, Adam. See you. Nick's got it. See you, Nick. All right, so let's see. Look up. Did your neighbor say something to the effect that it's a science? Data collection and conclusions, yes? Very good, yeah, it's a science. Data conclusions. I want to hear those words, conclusions, science, something about data, analyze, organize, and such. All right, we've been talking about data. Look up to the screen, don't write this down. We've been talking about data. And we said there's two types of data we were collecting, categorical versus quantitative. You guys remember that? Yes? But today we're going to begin looking at it through the lens of variables. Variables, which means we're going to give these or this data classifications. So watch. By now we know what categorical is. Is that correct? For the sake of time, we know that it's stuff that cannot be expressed with numbers versus quantitative, which is what? It can be expressed with numbers. So far, so good, yeah? However, today I'm going to change the name of categorical. Look up. Categorical now is going to be qualitative. Qualitative. So, look up to the screen, and I want you to copy this in your notes. So you're going to write variables, copy qualitative data, quantitative data. Write that down, please. Give you some time. 1 minute. Go. We got it, yes? So once again, you took notes and you wrote down that you have variables, and we're going to be talking about qualitative versus quantitative. However, look up, please. Let's add to that a little bit more. Today we're going to focus on the side of quantitative only. I don't want you guys to get confused between the two. We're going to focus on what? Quantitative. Are we there? Now, quantitative data can be broken down into two. First one, write this down, discrete, and the other type is called continuous. Once again, Quantitative data can be broken down to two, discrete versus continuous. Quantitative data can be broken down to what? Discrete versus continuous. Let me explain one from the other. Look up, please. Discrete data is, check this out, I'm going to write it underneath, is data that can be counted or totaled. For example, if I ask you to give me data such as this, pay attention to this part. Ready? How many students are in this classroom? Can you guys count them? Yes, that's what we call discrete data, when you can actually count them and have a total. Versus, I'm going to use yesterday's thunderstorm as a teaching moment. Y'all ready? Everybody knows that we had a thunderstorm yesterday, yeah? All right, and just not to go into specifics of different neighborhoods in the valley, there's different neighborhoods in the valley that got hit pretty hard. Specifically, I'm going to talk about Hopeville and Calexico. There's a lot of electrical posts that came down, and there's people that don't have electricity right now. So, check this out. If I was to ask you, can you guys go in and ask the offices at IID when the power is going to be restored to Calexico and Hopeville? What do you think they're going to tell you? Will they know exactly when? No, that means that is a continuous data because we cannot count it. It continues on, and we don't know when it will come to a total. Does that make sense? Yes? Yes, Mr. Q. All right, good. So, with that said, give me a second. All right. So, with that said, look up to the screen. So now that we talked about discrete versus continuous, let's see how well we got this. Look up to the screen. Don't say it out loud. Example 1. Do not copy this. It reads, number of touchdowns Royce Freeman scored while attending IHS. Think about it. Don't say it out loud. Is that discrete or continuous? Write it on your screen, please. Discrete or continuous? All right, looks like the majority of you wrote discrete. Hands if you agree with that. That is correct because we can count how many were scored. All right, let's go to the next one. Example 1Q, number of hours a week teenagers spend on social media. Discrete or continuous? Talk to your neighbor and then write it on the screen. Now for this one, I see a split. Some of you say discrete, some of you say continuous. This is what I'm going to say. Now, there's some of you that you should put your phone down after 11 hours on social media. And yet, you're still like, your eyes are shutting and sometimes you still leave it open. So I'm going to say continuous on this one because sometimes we don't know if they're going to turn it off or continue on that. Go to the next one. Example 1, Super Q. The amount of money someone earns working 40 hours a week at a gas station that pays minimum wage in California. Tell your neighbor what that is. Discrete or continuous? Write it on the screen. Now for this one, the majority of you said discrete. That is correct. Now let's see why discrete. The amount of money someone earns working 40 hours a week. So how many total hours are they working? 40. Do we know how much the minimum wage is? Right? So therefore, if you know the minimum wage and the total hours, that is discrete. All right, let's move on. Last one, the weights of high school athletes in Imperial Valley in the 2024-2025 school year. Write it on the screen. When they take the physicals, the weights of athletes for last year. Tell your neighbor, is that discrete or continuous? Write it on the screen. All right, I see some of you wrote continuous, but this information already passed. It's already recorded, so therefore we can actually have a total. So this is discrete, discrete. All right, not bad. Let's continue. So, look up, please. Continuing on now with our discrete versus continuous. Now we're going to find a way of classifying the data that we collect. Once again, when we collect data, there's going to be different classifications or different ways of categorizing the data. So copy this for your model, please. Write variable classification. On the top left, you write nominal, top right ordinal, bottom left interval, and the bottom right ratio. These are the 4 different ways we're going to be classifying some of the data and variables that we get. Okay? So let's start with nominal. What is nominal variable classification, Mr. Q? Well, nominal is basically just a list of data without any particular order or ranking. A list of data or of information without any particular order or ranking. So think about it. What kind of question would I ask you to get information that once I get the information, the order doesn't matter? What kind of question should I ask? Let's see. How about favorite color? I just gather the information and the order doesn't matter. That make sense? Yeah? Yeah? Kind of like some of y'all, if I was to ask you, what's your favorite food? You give me your favorite food, same thing, order doesn't matter. All right. Go to ordinal. Ordinal. List of data. Pay attention to this one, where particular order or ranking does matter. Order or ranking does matter. All right. For example, if I was to ask you for your first progress grade, first progress grade for my class, and if I went around the classroom, I would see, check this out, I would start with the A pluses, move on to the A's, A minuses, B plus, B minuses. You see what I'm saying? Okay? And should I say, yes, some of y'all actually had ... and F in this class, which I don't know why. Why would that happen? My goodness. So once again, it's a list of data. There it is. Does the order or ranking matter? Yes, because we start from the A plus and work our way down. Order does matter. Okay. Go to interval. List of data with a particular order or ranking with precise differences between ranks. This one is very precise. List of data with a particular order or ranking with precise differences. Now check this out. There's schools, colleges, that in order for them to give you financial aid, they need to know your GPA. So they need to have precise numbers in order for you to get financial aid. Also, when at the end of the year we have salutatorian and valedictorian, they need precise GPAs, don't they? Yep. And they go sometimes way back to 7th grade, actually. You're like, what? Oh, yeah. All right. Go to the last one. List of data with particular order or ranking, precise differences in ranks. However, this one we use ratios and numbers. Ratios and numbers, or in other words, where we can create fractions out of it. So for this one, in case, how about if I was to ask some of you for your, if some of you that are working already, for your salaries, and that I can compare to other salaries from other restaurants or places that you work. Salaries. Salaries could be a good way of starting. Now, some of you already work, right? Yes? All right, good. If not, you guys need to get to work. Ah. Now, why salaries? Because can't we explain salaries with numbers? Let's say you get 40 hours of, no, you can't work 40 hours a week because you are a student. Say part-time, 30 hours times 15. You get $450 a week. But most of that the government takes, so you're only going to get about $260. Can we make fractions out of that? Yes? All right. So, with that said, some more examples look up. Don't copy this. For nominal, we can talk about zip codes. You can give me zip codes. Order doesn't matter. This one, such as if you were to rate a business here in town, poor, good, excellent, that's ordinal. Interval is SAT scores, temperature. And ratio, it could also be height, weight, time, age. So, with that said, look up. Don't copy this. This is just me. Focus. Let's say I gave you the data, James Harden, Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Nikola Jokic. Notice there's no particular order. I just listed them. Now I'm going to use these names and I'm going to move them over here. Tell your neighbor, what did I use to order them now with a particular order? Talk to your neighbor. What did I use to order them? What? All right, let's see. I'm going to go with Kayla. I think Kayla's got this. Kayla, what is the particular order that we use? Alphabetical, first initial. Yes, that is correct. It has a particular order. Okay, let me go now to interval. Not that some of you are distracted or anything. Here it goes. Interval. Michael Jordan, Stephen Curry, LeBron, James Harden, Nikola. What did I use to organize it now with precise order? I used the greatest to the least. Greatest to the least. Greatest to the least. Greatest to the least. And the last one. Here we go. Here are the bench presses of each of them. Can I create fractions or ratios using those numbers? Yes. All right. Not bad, not bad. Look up to your screen. Tell your neighbor, if I was to give you these 3 cups, what kind of data is that? Talk it over to your neighbor. Which classification will it give it? Write it on your screen, please. What kind of data would that be if I gave you those 3 cups? All right. All right. So in this case, it's not nominal because it has a certain order, right? Therefore, it has to be either ordinal or interval. But in this case, I would go, now some of you wrote ratio. Now think about this. Why would we classify these ratios? Think about it. What would we use for those cups to classify them as ratio? All right, let's go with Taylor. Why would we classify that as a ratio? Help her out, Val. All right, pass the one. Yeah. Remember, for ratio, we need numbers, right? So therefore, 3 cups, okay, but each cup has what? Ounces, that is correct. We go from 28 to 32 to 64, so if you use numbers, it would be what? Ratio. All right. Go to the next one. Look at this one. What kind of classification is that? Tell your neighbor and write it on your screen. Tell your neighbor, write it on your screen. All right. Now, at first glance, I see a lot of you writing nominal, and I would take that because it's just the colors, different colors. No particular order. However, some of you start nitpicking. You're like, oh, I see a little RX-7 back there, a sports car, this and that. Well, once you get into those details, then it might be something else. But just at first glance, colors, nominal. Let's go to the next one. Look at this one. Here are different students. Student Q scored 100 on a test. Student A, 95. D, 85. B, 80. M. Tell your neighbor, what could this be? What kind of classification? And write it on the screen. Now I see a split. Look up to the screen. I see a split between ratio and interval. I would go with interval because it does have a ranking. However, don't we have numbers where we can create ratios? Yeah, it could be both. So I'll take both as a good answer. Pretty good, yeah? For what? Ordinals? You do for grades, but that it's if it's a letter grade. This one is already using like more precise numbers. All right, here we go. So that's your home play for today. So if you want to DD that up, you're doing evens only. Those of you following on YouTube, get to practice. See how you do with that. See you guys next time. Peace.